Another reason never ever to travel for a hookup is it's never as good the second time. So I love this comment right here. This is my mutual. And this was my approach to dating in general. The egg doesn't swim to the sperm, baby. Okay? They'll do anything for schmegs. I don't have to do anything for schmegs. Why would I buy a ticket and fly to a destination and spend a lot of money and take time off from work and then all that energy and all that stress of travel just to hook up? No hookup is worth that. Maybe if he's paying for all of it. But the problem you get with that is if he's paying for all of it, then you're definitely hooking up. You know what I mean? They're going to expect it. Even if they're not paying for it, they're going to expect it. So let me give you an example of this, because I hooked up with this dude in LA. He's one of the only American men who has gotten through my vetting system for hookups. Most of the men that I was hooking up with on Tinder were from out of town, because I, had a very strict vetting system, and most of the men were too entitled to pass my vetting system for a hookup. So him and I, we went to dinner, had a good time. He stayed over. We had schmegs. It was fun. All good and fun. Definitely had no intentions of ever dating this man, which is why I hooked up with him. And he lived in DC, other side of the country. Perfect. But because he's, a man who has no friends, like so many of them, is bored and nothing better to do, he kept messaging me after the hookup, after he went back to DC. So then I found out that I was actually going to go to DC because it was like the Trump inauguration or whatever. My sister and my stepmom were going there to protest, and I really needed to go to New York to visit, so I just kind of made a trip out of it. And he was like, oh, you should stay with me. And dude wanted me to stay with him for like 5 days. And that cheap part of me, the part who has couch surfed so many times and slept, in so many crazy situations that ended up fine, I was like, maybe. But then the smarter, more wiser part of me also had some terrible situations, decided to stay elsewhere and to only commit to 2 nights at this dude's place. Now, the other person I was going to stay with was someone I met on Tinder. This was a really sweet German man. We met on Tinder when he was in LA. We went out to dinner. We talked a lot. We both agreed. Well, it was more me. I basically was like, I'm not really feeling it in terms of hooking up, but like, you're really cool. Like, I really enjoyed your company. And so we were basically buddies. So when I was coming to DC, I was like, hey, I'm coming through town. He offered to let me stay on his couch. And because he had already handled the situation very well, where he put no pressure on me to hook up with him, I was good. I stayed with him for 3 days. And I had so much fun with him and his roommate. I also went to like the protests before there was a lot of Antifa big protests the days before the hat wearing one, with all the pink ones with all the women, like ones that had like medical tents and first aid people everywhere because people were getting maced. Like, this was the energy mindset that I was in, right? This is my kind of protest, not just like feminism, more intersectionality of it all, right? The ones where like people were carrying stuff like this. There's like a bag with the Obama's family photo all over it. Signs like this was like an anger. This was a protest full of rage, like the good kind of rage. And honestly, this is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. This woman was walking around the streets with all of this hanging off of her. It was like the most brilliant thing I've seen in a long time. Now, I'm just giving you some context because I haven't seen these photos in a long time of the energy that I was in before I met up with this Tinder dude for my last 2 days. I mean, it was just like, I'm pretending to like run my own person right here. I had been to Occupy Wall Street I was at most of Occupy Wall Street. So this is the energy that I'm used to. Like this stuff is important to me. And this is the kind of stuff that happens at protests like this. Now, granted, I'm a white woman, so I'm like the most protected person at these protests. And, all they do is arrest people, right? They just love arresting people, particular people, right? Not people like me who look like me. So those 3 days I was staying with the German dude and his roommate, and we had such a good time. And then on my last day with them, I went to the hat wearing protest, and it was nothing compared to the Antifa one. But this was my favorite costume from it. Amazing. Loved it. I still had a good time at this, but it tends to be a lot of white feminism, right? Now, would you believe I met up with this dude right after, like the day after this protest? And this dude didn't even think about where to take me. Didn't think about impressing me. No dates planned, nothing. So when I met up with him, he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. Do you not think of anything? I don't know this town. And he's like, well, yeah, we could go to this. He took me to a museum. Okay. Like, I am a good sport. I was like, okay. He took he took me to go see Crystal. I don't remember what museum this is because I don't care. I don't even like museums usually because they're so overstimulating. He's like, let's go see this big diamond. And he showed me a bunch of crystals. All of this was not what I was interested in, but what he was interested in. He wanted to go see. He loved crystals. He loved anyway, it was all about him. I was bored out of my mind, but I was a good sport. And then we went, so I stayed 2 days with this dude, and that was too many. Because this man that I had got along so well with on a hookup was a complete bore in his home territory. He also, put me to work. He was had just moved into his new apartment and was again, didn't plan dates. He made me feel so unwelcome. And that is not the only time that has ever happened to me. That has happened so many times. The second time I have dared to try to hook up with a dude that was a vacation type hookup, a travel hookup, the second time always sucked. Because these men will put that oh, she wants a relationship energy and put that wall up. I don't want a relationship with you. I didn't come here to see you, dude. I came here for to hook up with you again because I thought you were a good lover. But don't ever want to see you again. Men can't comprehend women not wanting a relationship from them. And so a lot of times when they meet up with you for the second time, they treat you like crap. And they make it very clear that you are a burden. This dude made me feel like a burden. Instead of planning a date, we were hanging light fixtures in his place. And I'm holding the thing while he's taking measurements and thinking, what am I doing? Why isn't he paying me for this? And then he had the audacity. Now remember, all that energy, what I just showed you, I was in a mindset of being really upset about the election. I was not surprised. I knew that was going to happen, probably because I was raised in the South. So I'm used to people who love Trump, right? And so I was I feel like America is going to go for this dude. I was preparing myself for it. And then it happened, and I wasn't really surprised, but I was still really upset, right? Because I was oh my God, we're so screwed. And then I'm going to the Antifa protest, and then, the not wearing to protest. And then this dude is I don't understand the big deal. Y'all, you don't know these men. This dude apparently was a former, he was in the Navy, right? Loner who would spend months underwater hanging out with a bunch of dudes. My dad was in the Navy, by the way. I'm telling you, man, daddy issues, they just follow you everywhere you go. Until you really heal that trauma. You're going to keep dating your dad over and over again. He was not only not this progressive man that he'd kind of presented himself as, he was just another entitled white man. Terrible. Because, and then the second night, he wouldn't even hook up with me. I was because to me, I was if you're going to get all this time and energy, you're at least going to go down on me. If you're going to if I'm spending all this time with you, helping you do stuff, you can at least please me in bed. He didn't want to hook up at all. And then I was oh, okay. And he's do you want to give me a BJ though? I was so proud of myself. I was no. Why would I do that? You have literally done nothing for me. Why would I give you a BJ? And he's yeah, fair enough. And then he basically pouted and was just such a jerk. He was so annoyed that he even had to drive me to the airport. This man made me feel so bad about myself. So if you do ever go meet a man, you think that you had such a good time, first of all, you're never going to date this person. Why waste your time? Why waste your money? I mean, this dude didn't pay for anything. He didn't even pay for dinner when I flew across the country, and met up with him. I'm so glad I didn't stay with him for 5 days. If you ever do meet up with these dudes, make sure that you have enough money to get a hotel room. Because I couldn't afford a hotel room, so I was stuck with this dude. I should have gone back and hung out with the German. I'm mad that I didn't. I would have had a much better time than this piece of crap. So, I don't know. I learned so much about this dude, hanging out with him a second time. So, y'all, do not go and meet these men. Never worth it. Always a disappointment. You're going to feel really bad about yourself. Maybe if they pay for it. Otherwise, just let it be a memory. Move on.